This is Mayor Ford. The time is now 6:13. And the notice for the special city council meeting was duly posted. There will now be a roll call of city council. As I call your name, please state here or present. Mayor Pro Tem Preston.
Present.
Councilmember Edwards.
Present.
Councilmember Sterling.
Present.
Councilmember Boney.
Present.
Councilmember Maroulis.
Present.
Councilmember Emery.
Present.
There will now be a roll call of city staff members and meeting presenters. As I call your name, please state here or present. Interim City Manager Bill Atkinson.
Present.
Assistant City Manager Glenn Martell.
Present.
City Attorney Joyce Iyamu.
Present.
City Secretary Maria Jackson.
Present.
Director of Financial Services Elena Portis.
Present.
Budget and Financial Reporting Manager Bertha Alexander.
Present.
Accounting Technician Lee Sue. Lee Sue.
She's on.
Okay. Director of Human Resources and Organizational Development Martin Russell. Martin.
Present.
HOA Liaison Kelly Mott.
Present.
Media Relations Specialist 3, Neetu. I'm not going to mess up your last name, Neetu.
I'm here.
Thank you. Senior MCTV Producer Cliff McBee.
Present.
MCTV Producer Douglas Panabla.
Here.
Media Relations Specialist 2, Matthew Sanders.
Present.
Communication Specialist 3, Adriana Robinson. Adriana?
She's unavailable to join us tonight.
Okay. MCT Producer 1, Lindsay Westmoreland.
Likewise, Mayor Ford.
Okay. Web Social and Media Manager Xavier Henry.
I'm here.
Director of Communications Stacy Walker.
Present.
Director of Economic Development Joe Esch.
Here.
IT Manager Joby Matthew.
Here.
Director of Information Technology Cedric Cole.
Present.
Is there anyone present that I did not call your name? There are no citizens signed up for public comments. We will start with 2A, presentation of the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget. And we will
Mayor,
start. Go ahead.
And I wanted to just start with a little overview to get us started for this evening and what's going to take place over the next 3 nights. The budget team has been developing revenue and expenditure estimates as well as working with the leadership team.
Are you there, Bill? Did we lose him, Doug?
I believe so. He was just on and
Okay.
cut off.
Let's give him a few seconds to reconnect.
That's fine.
Okay. Was he on his is he on his cell phone or is he on an iPad or a laptop?
He was on his phone for
Okay.
audio.
Okay, okay. Just FYI, this is Mayor Ford. We might have some technical difficulties tonight. As everyone knows, the weather has been kind of bad, so please be patient with staff tonight. Elena, this is Mayor Ford. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Happen to
If you
know
like,
what, yeah, if you know what the overview was going to be, you can go ahead and give it to us. You don't? Okay.
I
Okay.
actually do.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared for that though. So I know that he was going to tell you that we're going to have all of the different departments presenting their budget, and that's going to include their mission, vision, also their fiscal year 2020 accomplishments, and their goals for fiscal year 2021. You also see the staffing in each department, all of their FTE, as well as their base budget and their supplementals. Can you go to the next slide? And of course, the next slide, the council priorities. Of course, as we're going through all of this, we're going to be identifying any areas that address your priorities, including economic development and redevelopment, infrastructure, the fire department, employees, beautification, and partnerships. And let's see, what else was he going to say? Let's go ahead with the rest of the
Alina?
presentation. Are you there? Great.
I'm sorry about that, Mayor and Council. I'm back.
Okay,
I had
go
a
ahead.
technical difficulty. I don't know I missed part of what she said, but again, tonight, Alina is her team made up of both Alexander, Lee Sue, and Alina have working with departments putting together the proposed budget. These numbers are based on preliminary property tax numbers, and we will be receiving final property tax numbers, as she may have mentioned, in tax information at the end of July, but we're working with what we have now in the preliminary numbers. In addition, we've had, as you know, a unique year with coronavirus and the challenges that it's presenting us. And this alone has impacted us both on the revenue and expenditure sides. And we'll provide a brief overview of this and schedule additional meetings to discuss specifically this impact and as it relates to, as you all are familiar with, the CARES Act. And Chief Campbell and the emergency operations team have been working with finance and other department heads in reviewing what availability we have of funding from the county, which we will have about roughly $3.7 million that funnels through the county from the Fed. We do have limitations on how that can be spent, and there'll be some information given tonight on that. And we will cover that in additional meetings going forward. Tonight, again, night one will be general government, which is you, the city council, city management, city secretary's office, legal, human resources, communications, economic development, finance, and IT. Night two will be focused on public safety groups, fire, court, and police. And then finally, in night 3, we will have Public Works, Development Service, Parks, and LGC. And then we'll wrap that up with getting any questions you may have. And throughout the night, we do want this to be interactive, get your feedback so that we can continue to develop the budget, your thoughts and your policy ideas as we move this process forward. And again, Alina was probably heading this way that each of the presentations tonight and throughout the next 3 nights will provide you with the mission and vision of the departments, the 2020 top accomplishments, and if had anybody ask that options given as well as the top goals for 2021, and then the authorized FTE and review of what the general budget will be for base for each of the departments. And then finally, providing you with the overview of supplemental requests that the departments are providing for the programs and services that they look to be providing next year. And those will be presented in a way in which we'll be able to see both those that are one-time expenditures as well as those that may have recurring costs with them. So again, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview for that, what's coming tonight. And then again, based on the presentation and feedback, we'll leave time open to schedule future meetings throughout July to continue to develop the budget. And again, by statute and by our charter, I have to provide this to you by the beginning of August 1. And so we want to make sure that you have plenty of time to work through it with us and get that submitted to you. So with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you. And good evening, Mayor and City Council. I want to start this presentation with the fund structure of the city. This will show some of the things that you'll be hearing over the course of the next 3 days. The city's accounting structure, it consists of governmental and proprietary funds. Within the governmental funds are the general fund, special revenue funds, and capital project funds. Within the general fund, we have all the departments that you'll hear the next 3 evenings. Special revenue funds are funds where the revenues is for a specific purpose only. If a department manages funds that are considered to be a special revenue fund, you'll hear about that fund during their specific department presentation. You'll hear about the capital project funds on night 3 when Public Work presents. Within the proprietary funds, we have the utility funds, the local government corporation, also known as LGC, and the solid waste funds. These funds are operated as self-supporting funds where the fees charged are to cover all of the expenditures. You will hear about these funds on Wednesday. Next slide. Next slide. Now we'll go over an overview of where we're at when it comes to preparing the general fund budget. Again, these are preliminary. They are estimates and they are subject to change. The total preliminary estimate of revenue for the general fund is $59,215,185, which is approximately $4 million over the current fiscal year. This increase is primarily due to the assumptions for property tax and license and permits. The property tax estimate uses the preliminary taxable assessed value, which is subject to change when we receive the certified roll. We estimated the voter approval rate and used this estimate in the calculation. As stated at the last council meeting, the taxable assessed value increased with the largest percentage increases seen in commercial, inventory, and multifamily residential. And this is in comparison to the last tax year 2019 supplemental roll that we received. A nice portion of this increase is located in the TERS, and you'll see that on another slide. Again, these rates are estimates and are subject to change once we receive the certified tax roll and the property tax rate is adopted. Just for reference, the difference between the no new revenue rate, which was previously the effective tax rate, and the voter approval rate using the current assumptions is approximately $1 million. The sales tax estimate uses information provided by our consultant, John Hawkinyos with TXP. The assumption is conservative. It's at 98% of the forecast. Since sales tax was budgeted conservatively in the past, especially in fiscal year 2020, the impacts related to COVID-19 are minimal. We'll see that the budget is reduced by 0.25%, which is just $21,301. We'll continue to monitor this revenue source and determine if the estimate should change for the proposed budget, as we have received revenue through April. So we'll be able to monitor to see what it looks like in May and June. Franchise fees are projected to remain flat in fiscal year 2021. The majority of the remaining revenue categories are departmental, and since most departments have complete understanding of their revenue and factors affecting them, the estimates were provided by the departments. The methods that were used to project these revenues vary with the revenue source. Most include a trend analysis, which is a review of historical collection patterns, as well as considering other factors that could impact next year's collection, including COVID-19 and the recent user fee increases. Licenses and permits are anticipated to increase. We have seen an increase in volume, and this increase, coupled with the implemented user fee study, results in an increase of approximately $1 million in the budget. For fines and forfeitures, in addition to the impacts of pandemic closure and the issuance of less tickets, legislative changes have impacted these revenues, resulting in lower collections. Charges for services are projected to decrease by approximately 28%, as demand may lessen due to the pandemic, and this includes parks and recreation services. Intergovernmental revenues anticipated to increase and includes funding for various grant programs, including the Crime Victim Liaison Program, Fort Bend and Houston HIDA, Fort Bend County Training Reimbursement, and other small grants. The majority of the revenue in this area is received from Sienna and other MUDs for fire protection. It's approximately $2.6 million that we receive to cover the cost of the fire department. We have typically budgeted interest income conservatively. This budget is probably going to be decreased based on the current market. Recently, looking at our maturity dates in our current investment ladder, our investment advisor projects the portfolio will earn approximately 1% during fiscal year 2021. Our fund balance is at its highest, currently over 30%, and we are trying to maximize our investments while considering safety, liquidity, and yield. But I do believe that this number, as we refine our projections, will come down. The transfers are transfers for a majority of them are transfers for administrative costs from various special revenue and utility funds. This includes TERS, MCDA, solid waste, and Metro. Next slide. General fund expenditures, the base budget is $55,583,077. The city uses the incremental approach to budgeting. Incremental budgeting is budgeting based on slight changes from the preceding period. The total increase is 1.5%. Personnel costs increased 3%. This includes salary and benefits, including health and retirement. If positions are vacant in most departments, they're budgeted at the midpoint, with health insurance at the highest family rate to ensure that we are adequately budgeted upon hire. This accounts for a majority of the increase. If positions are not filled at this level, we will see salary savings during the year. Also, one-time expenditures funded in fiscal year 2020 have been removed and account for a majority of the category decreases. As we review all the individual budgets, you'll see their base amount, the base amount that's allocated to the department, as well as their supplemental requests. Next slide, please. In order to determine the amount of funds available for appropriation outside of the base budget, we prepare the following model that you see on the screen. We add the changes to revenue and the non-recurring that were allotted in the prior year. So here you see the changes that we have. Next slide, please. We then decrease this amount by all of the anticipated expenditures, including prior commitments, such as the implementation of the compensation study, fleet replacements, because a majority, or not a majority, but a nice amount of the property taxes are for the TERS. We also have to increase the transfer to the TERS based on their taxable assessed value. With all of the adjustments made, we believe we will have approximately $3 million available to fund supplemental requests or make other adjustments per council direction. Next slide, please. Department submitted a total of $1,954,676 in supplemental requests. Here you see the total by category and by department. As we review each department's budget, the detail for the supplemental will also be presented. Next slide, please. Prior to moving forward with department presentations, we would like to discuss the CARES Act funding. The city has been allocated funds to address the coronavirus pandemic. And as the slide shows, these funds can be used to cover costs that are necessary, expenditures incurred due to the coronavirus. We use to respond directly to the emergency, such as by addressing medical or public health needs. It can be used to respond to second order effects of the emergency. We can only use it for items that were not accounted for in the most recent budget, which would be the fiscal year 2020 budget. And these costs would have to be incurred from March 1st, 2020 until December 30th, 2020. Next slide, please. The city received an allocation of $3,763,760, and as of June 17th, we spent $124,545, leaving a balance of $3,639,215. Members of the leadership team, we met to discuss possible expenditures, and these include the following that are outlined on your slide. Facility improvements. And these facility improvements would be to protect the public and staff. Small business programs, mortgage rental utility assistance programs, COVID-related reimbursements, including personnel costs, distribution of PPE, planning activities for the pandemic, and emergency management planning for future events. And I believe at this time, we would like to hear from you as far as the types of programs that you would like to see with the CARES Act funding. Bill, do you have anything else to add on CARES Act?
I don't. We wanted to present this as just a set of information. As I mentioned, we've been working with the impact group, and we are going to set aside some meeting to come back and talk about what items we're working with our consultants and make sure that we have all the information category. And these are the broader categories of how they can be spent, and then also working with them to make sure we maximize the money. And when it comes with looking at what the county programs are, how much money they have been awarded to do what programs, we want to make sure we maximize that by not offering things they have that they could potentially have their money utilized, and we could have some of it left for other things. So again, we work closely with the county and Chief Campbell was our representative on the steering committee for the county and keeping us apprised of those programs. So we do plan to come back in the very near future, if not the next meeting, to discuss this further and get your feedback so that we can begin programming the dollars how you see fit.
Bill, this is Councilman Emery.
Yes, sir.
I know it may be premature, but do you have any kind of a feel for what we might be able to use out of that available balance of $3 million?
Yes, sir. We can't. Right now, we look like we have roughly $125,000 to $150,000 in existing expenses that have taken place, and so we'd want to make sure that we got our reimbursement for those, and then from there we can make determinations as to what programs we would want to divide the money up for. And staff has been looking at some facility improvements that would be necessary for protecting the public as well as employees, and also making sure that we look at our planning documents, and Chief Campbell can fill you in on that when we meet again about updating our annexes in regard to pandemics and other crises that this type of money would cover as well. And then obviously distribution of PPE will be important as we begin to open our services and start working directly with the public. We currently do have track and keep good inventory on our PPE and through the fire department and police departments primarily, and then other workers as well. So again, all these areas are opportunities. So we are working again with Impact, who has a great deal of expertise with this, and providing us with some ideas as to how we might be able to use it, and we'll come back to you with those ideas and see what your feedback is for moving forward then. And we anticipate, like say in July, very soon, the next few weeks, coming back to discuss this further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, Mayor and Council, the next slide. It's general government, and so City Council is the one that's up first. If we could go to the next, and then we'll go through these, and I will hand it off to each of the department heads to go through their respective budgets and information that is going to be provided tonight. If you go to the next slide. Again, base budget for City Council. As you see, is a total of $121,109. The cost we have not changed, but again, something that to be thinking about if there are some areas in which there are adjustments or inquiries about that we can answer. We'll be happy to take those down, look into them further, and get back with you if necessary. Next. For city management, again, the mission is to lead our organization in achieving the shared mission, which is to deliver outstanding customer service to all members of our diverse community, and vision being that to be known and recognized as a superior municipal organization. And so, next slide. This past year with FY 2020 or current year that we're in, we have had several accomplishments, execution, and action steps in municipal mud study with improvements to communications and true-up procedures with the respective MUDs. And they have been very happy with that. The team has been working very hard in utilities, and we can continue to look at the MUD study and the other recommendations as we move forward into the future years. We continued implementation of the economic development and redevelopment plan by working with you, the council, to set the priorities. And Joe Ash will give you more information about that in a few moments. Worked with the community and regional groups to continue developing and improving fundraising capacity for the Parks Foundation. They've been very successful in supporting the Parks Master Plan. And as you know, we have several projects, particularly the Veterans Memorial. And again, we plan to bring some information to you in regard to that as an update from our CIP group in the near future. We've been working to provide resource assistance to the implementation of the development review processes as identified in the assessment. And again, Intergov has been implemented in new software, and Otis Spriggs and his team have done an excellent job along with IT and finance working together to make this happen, and he can provide further information on it. And then working in concert with emergency management, as I just mentioned, we've been working with Chief Campbell and Tramika Jewett to implement new processes and procedures and communications in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we hope to continue to improve our position with regard to emergency management and with respect to that. And we're always learning through this process. For 2021, goals that we are looking to are to continue working, again, in concert with emergency management, others to identify funding, implementing the processes. We believe, and we've had quite a few conversations just today alone, that policies are changing on a federal level. Funding possibilities are coming about that we did not know about until recent, and we keep our ear to the ground with respect to that so that we can continue to make sure that we keep our citizens safe and also take full advantage of opportunities from funding perspective to make sure we have everything we need. We'll continue working with the council on setting priorities identified in the emphasis and implementation of the economic development and redevelopment plan. Joe's been working closely with you over the past few months with respect to that, and we want to continue to make that a top priority moving forward. Also, review and implementation of the 2020 salary and benefits study. We do have, we're finishing that up and with our consultant Gallagher, and so we should have information within the next few weeks to a month that we can utilize to provide you some more information with regard to that and get the implementation of that in place. We do identify it as funded in the proposed budget. We will continue to review and discuss and determine strategies related to the 2019 Municipal Utility District Study. Again, we are working closely with the MUDs. A couple items that are coming up, again, the true-ups and the processes and procedures, working and having more open communications with them. And in the next few weeks to month, we should have an item coming forward with regard to operators that we currently, or the operators that operate the plants and what we're doing with that. And then also developing a financial plan for our debt for the possibility of a future infrastructure bond proposal. We're working with the financial advisor to make sure that we get ourselves in a position that we have that those dollars, because as you know, in most of the categories we are out of capacity as far as voter approved capacity, and we will need to take a look at that and see how much we could go to the voters with, and also that would give us an opportunity to develop a bond program moving forward. So those are some of the big goals we have for this year, and also the accomplishments that have been undertaken by many throughout the year. So I just want to give that overview in city management. Next slide. Here we have for fiscal year 18. You saw that we had 6 employees. We went down to 5 because we had created the the chief performance officer, and we had it in a separate separate department. This past year, we with the departure of our chief performance officer last year, we looked at the opportunity to change that position to an assistant to the city manager that would give us somebody with some broad skills to help facilitate programs within different areas throughout the city, and have a broad scope that they could assist with throughout the organization. So we brought that under the city manager's office, and the funding that was in the chief performance officer's budget was brought over to the city manager's office. We will continue to do a lot of things that we were doing with the chief performance officer, but we could do it through the assistant too, and in concert with others such as human resources and other departments. Again, the total for the budget was $1.3 million, and we do not have any supplemental requests in the city manager department at this time. Next. This time I'll hand it to Maria Jackson.
Hi, Mayor and Council. This is Maria. I want to start off with the City Secretary's Office mission. We have quite a few missions. It's to record all actions of City Council, to abide by the Texas Open Meetings Act for all meetings of City Council, to guarantee the authenticity and provide for the safekeeping and retrieval of all official documents, to administer city elections, to abide by the Texas State Library and Archives Commission for local government retention schedules and terms for the City Records Management Program, and to fulfill public information requests according to the Texas Public Information Act. The vision of the City Secretary's Office is to be recognized as an efficient, effective, and receptive municipal services team. Next slide. Here we have the accomplishments for fiscal year 2020. This is our current fiscal year. The first one is City Council Ordinance Directed Training for 33 departmental records management teams regarding records management programs and document management. We coordinated required biannual training for the Texas Public Information Act. All 75% of the City Secretary's Office members are enrolled in certification and recertification for the Texas Municipal Clerks Association. We've updated the City Secretary's Office COOP plan. We've continued departmental municipal operations during the COVID pandemic. This time, 50% of the city secretary's office teams are working remotely, and the other 50% are working in the office. And with that coup plan, that was made possible. The goals for fiscal year 2021 are to provide prompt and straightforward responses to public information requests within 10 days, which is, a state mandate. Develop and implement and coordinate public information act and records retention biannual training sessions with city staff members. Continue training with city staff and records management processes and retention schedules. Continue records management. We also have a cleanup day and implement a citywide program for fiscal year 20 and 2021. And the implementation of an automated implementation of an automated agenda management process module. Next slide. Here we have the FTEs for the city secretary's office. Since from fiscal year 2018 to present, there's been 4 full-time employees in the city secretary's office, and the base budget for the city secretary's office is currently at $446,911 and includes personnel costs, supplies and materials, professional contract services, and other expenditures. Next slide. Here we have the supplemental requests that we're asking for this next fiscal year. The first one has to do with our hospitality account. The city secretary's office, we're asking for $1,200. We're asking for you to consider this request to place funds within the city secretary's office hospitality account in an effort to increase participation of records management liaisons to our quarterly records management training, and also to add food expenses for our annual cleanup day. The next account has to do with our training and travel account. We're asking for all of our city staff members next fiscal year to enroll in the Texas, one of them to be enrolled in the Texas Municipal Clerk Certification Program and the Saltgrass chapter, and also to so that they can attend different meetings with the Saltgrass chapter. We're asking for those memberships, and with the chapter is if you attend 3 or more Saltgrass chapter meetings per year, you're eligible to get scholarships, and those scholarships can go up to $500 to pay for training and travel expenses. And the last account is membership dues have increased with the Texas Municipal Clerks Association, the Saltgrass chapter, and the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. And that amount is $360. Next slide. And I'll turn it over to legal. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Before I begin with the mission and vision for the legal division, I just want to let you all know kind of what the legal division is comprised of. We are comprised of 4 full-time employees. The division, as I hope you all know, also works closely with an office manager who provides us with a wealth of administrative support. We also work closely with every city department and provide a wide range of legal services to the city, including advising you all, the council, as well as city boards and commissions. The city attorney's office also represents the city in judicial proceedings, such as municipal court, and prepares ordinances, resolutions, contracts, deeds, and other legal documents. The legal division also supervises litigation matters not covered by the Texas Municipal League risk pool, and we also provide coordination and assistance on matters handled with outside counsel. To go back to the slides, the mission of the legal division is to deliver outstanding customer service to the city, and our vision is to be known and recognized as a superior legal division. Next slide, please. The legal division identified just a few of our accomplishments in fiscal year 2020. Those include working on the subdivision shot clock ordinance, which provides essentially a turnaround time of 30 days for the review of certain plats and other documents. We work closely, just one thing I'd like to say is the legal division is this internal supportive type of division. No project that we produce is without the input and participation with other departments. So I've listed these things. I'll identify the departments that we worked with as well on these documents. But that first item is the subdivision shot clock ordinance, and we worked with the planning division on that. We have also facilitated and drafted contracts relating to the expansion of the Mustang Bayou utility system. We have negotiated a raw water contract, and we've also assisted with the acquisition of property for a transportation improvement. Those items all reflect your priority of enhancing the city's infrastructure, and all of those projects relate to the Public Works Department. We've been fortunate enough to work very closely with them on several projects this fiscal year. In fiscal year 2021, we have goals, and you all, I'm sure some of you who've been on council for a while have seen this goal, or you see it every about 4 years when the Charter Review Commission comes up. So our goal, though, in 2021 is to provide legal services, of course, to the Charter Review Commission. And in doing that, the City Attorney's Office provides legal opinions and background information for items that are considered by the Charter Review Commission. We also facilitate the Charter Review Commission meetings in that role. Another goal for 2021 is to supervise the development of the legislative agenda. And again, you all have seen this one before too. Every other year, our state legislature meets to come up with rules and regulations that impact the city. And so the legal division is very active in the creation and later on the implementation of those regulations. The next goal for 2021 is to complete the development of an electronic compliance program for certain state requirements. As you all know, certain departments, such as the Financial Services Department, have specific rules and regulations that they have to abide by that come up annually. Our goal is to essentially work with IT to create a system that would notify financial services employees of specific timelines and specific dates as they come up, just to help with compliance. Another goal that we have is to develop compliance checklists for the major utility contracts. I've actually already started this project in this fiscal year because we have, of course, as you all know as well, with the different utility districts, there are several contracts that require specific benchmarks, and we found that essentially in implementing contracts that the checklists can be helpful. So our goal in 21 is to develop those for some of those major utility system contracts. Our last item for 2021 is just to provide staff with quarterly policy highlights on legal issues. Next slide, please. As mentioned before, the City Attorney's Office has 4 full-time employees, including myself, and our total budget our base budget is $666,770. Next slide, please. So this next fiscal year, what we're asking for in terms of supplemental requests relates to personnel expenditures. One of our full-time employee positions is funded in part by TERS and PID revenue. After utilizing a private contractor for an issue that came up this fiscal year, and I believe some of last fiscal year as well, staff believes that it would behoove the city and the management of the TERS and PIDs to utilize an outside contractor to administer those programs. As such, I believe that we would need to essentially take back that funding for that position, which would leave the employee that's funded through that with a cut of about 50%. That employee is willing to work less hours So part of this funding that's requested here is the additional 10 hours of funding to provide for that position. The other part of that is to provide another employee who's taken on additional responsibilities, such as producing about 50% or reviewing about 50% of department contracts, and supporting utilities and other major projects, including code enforcement and animal services, with additional funding for that position to provide or to put that position a little closer to the other positions in the department in terms of compensation. So with that, and we've also have the benefits that go along with that additional compensation. We are requesting $46,720. Are there any questions? Okay, well, thank you for your time.
And next is Martin Russell.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As far as on the human resources, our mission is to deliver the most effective, efficient, and responsive human resources services to internal and external customers that are policy and procedure compliant, and to facilitate the recruitment, retention, and the development of a sustainable quality workforce aligning with the city strategy. Our vision is that we are strong. We're a client-focused, quality, service-oriented team in the city of Missouri City. Of course, we continuously pursue quality in the development, implementation, and evaluation of human resources practices to the extent that we are recognized as leaders in the state of Texas. The Department of Human Resources and Organizational Development designs and implements processes and procedures according to established procedures. And then we also partner with individuals at every level to effectively manage all human resources functions in the city. We serve as a resource to our employees as they use our expertise to help them make informed decisions regarding work and life matters, and we champion the development of human talent in the city to maximize individual contribution to service delivery. Next slide. As far as our accomplishments for this 2020 fiscal year, we put together a 2020 benefit summary guide for the first time that the city has an opportunity for our employees to have a one-source resource to look at our benefits and what we do offer our employees. Many found this to be a very good guide to use, especially when and putting everything together in one source that they're able to have access to. And then also with the COVID and the coronavirus outbreak that we've had, we put together COVID-19 procedures and supporting documents in order to help our employees and navigate our way through that, in which we're currently always doing and updating those procedures. We're filling open positions with my current position, and then of course we just hired an HR manager and a part-time HR generalist to help complement our team. We successfully enrolled active and retired employees for the 2020 benefits year with minimal service disruption. We implemented a new nationwide pre-employment background check software, saving the city between $50 to $250 per applicant. Our fiscal year 2021 goals: we will continue to monitor, negotiate, and secure benefits renewal according to projected and approved budget amount for the fiscal year. We're here to review and revise, update, and implement a citywide wellness initiative. We also plan to deliver and continuously improve active and retirees' employee ability to enroll, change, or renew benefits using the employee self-service portal for the 2020 benefits year. We partner with the Employee Recognition Group and, of course, the Employee Advisory Group to plan and deliver the third employee conference. This might be a virtual coming up for this upcoming year, depending on what our environment would be at that present time. And then we also will partner with members of the Missouri City community and Fort Bend County business community to deliver the city's third annual job fair. Again, we might have to be creative when it comes to how we're able to complete this, and it could be virtual as well. Next slide, please. As far as our authorized FTEs, it's been consistent over the past 3 years. As far as our base budget, you see the personnel costs along with the supplies and materials, the contracts and other expenditures, which comes up to a total of $571,386. And as far as our supplemental requests, currently what we're looking to do is combine 2 part-time positions along with a summer intern position and create another full-time HR generalist position. And along with that, in last year's budget, the unemployment compensation was left out as a line item in our budget. With the upcoming and the projected expenses that we'll have with all of the furloughs and the virus that is out there, we also want to make sure we have that line item fully funded for the funding of those items that will come our way when it comes to unemployment compensation, which has a total of $72,904. And I think with that being said, I think that is the end of our, or in this case, the Human Resources presentation.
Mayor, members of council. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Bill.
Martin?
Yes.
This is Councilman Emery.
Yes.
I see that where you're going to, I guess, roll 2 part-time folks into the generalist position.
Yes, sir.
Does that 57,000, is that net of what those 2 part-time employees are receiving?
I would say 90% of that is the 2 part-time, and there's also a summer intern position that we have, which is another part-time position. But some of it will come out of our contractual services line item budget that we have, that currently we have enough money in that line item in order to help fund this position. So there's no additional cost that we are trying to save what we have in our current budget.
Okay, that was the gist of my question, is that even though it's a supplemental request for 57,000, it's not a total increase in your budget of 57,000.
Correct. And that is also the same with the unemployment compensation as well. It is coming out of another line item that we have in our current budget.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, council, questions on human resources? If not, we'll turn it over to Stacy Walker with community.
Good evening, Mayor Ford, City Council members, and staff. In fiscal year 2021, communications is going to focus specifically on the feedback from the 2020 community survey, focus on core operations of citizen education engagement, and focus on improving performance and efficiencies in operations and business plan initiatives. With respect of council's time, we will not read our HPO team's vision, mission, and goals verbatim. I will note, though, that all 3 are specific to providing consistent, timely, and superior customer service to citizens, businesses, stakeholders, and partners. On the team's accomplishments, our COVID-19 proactive response, I want to specifically highlight that we recorded and live streamed 27 virtual meetings for City Council, P&Z, and Parks Board since March 3rd. That we've designed 17 custom graphics, produced and distributed 9 MCTX Express digital newsletters, answered about 380 calls pertaining to the pandemic, helped coordinate and facilitate 3 city-hosted food PPE distributions, posted 69 unique coronavirus messages on the city's social media networks, posted 60 alerts on the city website, Red Alert Bar, wrote, distributed, and posted 30 unique coronavirus news releases, posted messages not just on social media, but both websites, the City Hall LED sign, and the MCTV crawl. We have also participated in at least 30 conference calls and virtual webinars with the state and county, responded to more than 100 emails, completed 17 214 forms, and photographed and videotaped about 30 events. We are also distributing COVID-19 materials to businesses citywide, and all of these efforts will be ongoing for the duration of the pandemic. I'm also proud to note that we are the first city to post any COVID information the first day after the pandemic was announced in Texas. We put a message up. I also want to highlight as well for the accomplishments that are listed, the team's professional experience and expertise has resulted in development and design being able to be done in-house at a significant savings to the city. The conservative estimate for that is about $90,000, and that's based on industry costs that are tracked through professional organizations such as 3CMA, TAMIO, and NAB. Fiscal year 2021 goals and business plan projects listed before you are specifically related to improving the effectiveness of communication. As noted in the 2020 community survey, we'll work to achieve this through enhancing initiatives for citizen education, engagement, and outreach. Next slide. Staffing for the department has gone from a high of 14 full-time employees and 2 to 3 part-time employees in fiscal year 2007 to the current 9 FTEs and 0 part-time employees. We are continuing to seek consideration for staffing of at least the vacant front desk position, the inclusion of the HOA liaison position in the next iteration of the compensation and benefits study, and the inclusion of the website social media position and the MCTV producer positions in the premium pay structure, as was guaranteed by former city manager Anthony Snipes. In addition to the Division 108 accounts in the general fund, communications also has oversight of 224, which is used for production technology equipment, software, and other associated resources. State of the city should also be included in the leadership luncheon category, along with the other key stakeholder initiatives that are listed. Also, in the other categories and budget requests, you see that branding, marketing, and promotion initiatives are outreach are key. In community communications, we are requesting budget funding for 4 citizen newsletters and 1 annual report. That is in alignment with feedback from the 2020 community survey. Printing, mailing, postage, binding costs have increased due to operational costs and the increase in the number of residential and commercial rooftops citywide. In contractual services, please note that Civic Plus expenditures increased due to hosting services needed for the 11 department headers that we're in the process of reviewing currently. The team will also transition the mobile app to the website platform this year as well for ease of functionality and integration with other communication processes. Civic Plus Mobile is the next evolution of the mobile experience for local governments and their citizens, and it will help us to unite all of our communications through one portal. Other maintenance contracts in the contractual services account include LinkedIn, Swagit, Archive Social, which provides recording and documentation of all social media posts, Zendesk, which will be the website request system that will be rolled out to staff so that we can track all requests and all updates in a timely manner, Rushworks, which is the playback system, and MCTV, TV Eyes, which tracks all broadcast coverage of Missouri City, MailChimp, which is used for the digital newsletter, MVP background check credits through the state, the MVP trademark process that will be coordinated through legal, and also included is the estimated cost of a new LED sign for the City Hall complex. Training and travel costs cover professional growth and development needs. And then PEG expenditures for FY 2021 are still being finalized. They are estimated to be around $124,700, and those funds will be used toward high definition production technology upgrades in council chambers, a production step and repeat, a new drone, audio-visual equipment, digital photo frames, storage hard drives, radio station software if it's needed. And in our budget discussion last week, I believe the total amount in the fund is $687,610. There are no infrastructure upgrades planned for council chambers, as City Council was informed last week that there is no CIP funding for those. And by infrastructure updates, I mean new flooring, lighting, painting of the walls, staining of the dais, and an increase of the power wattage in the room. And additionally, we'll be looking at a number of solutions for outreach this year, including the Community Connection Summit, which gave us a lot of great feedback the last time we held one, hosting of the 6th Annual Citizens University class, continued hurricane preparedness surveys, a communications outlet campaign, and 2 HOA summits. Thank you, Council.
Mayor and Council, do you have any questions for Stacy? If not, Joe Esch, he'll be presenting information on economic.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we know, the mission of economic development is to facilitate the use through the use of appropriate resources, the creation of a sustainable business environment that promotes the consistent quality and economy and enhances standard of living for all our residents, provide for the necessary financial resources of the city through expanded and diversified tax base. Our vision is to be effective, efficient, and proactive resource for the city manager to support the achievement of identified goals and priorities. Those goals and priorities are identified in the economic development plan that was approved by council and that we are acting on. The top 5 goals of the economic development plan include the redevelopment area, focus on the continued development of the property in and around 90A and the Beltway, focus on the Siena Town Center area, also office development, and then lastly, resources for economic development. Next slide, please. The accomplishments, was asked to provide a list of the top 5. And so one of the things that we have seen since Ike was a vacant office building over by Lowe's. And so working with a new owner to facilitate the redevelopment of the Glen Lakes Professional Office Building is something that's been a long-held objective of ours. That is something we've worked without having any incentives. I know that council has asked over the years, when do we stop providing incentives? And I would tell you that incentives don't make a bad project a good project. They make sometimes a good project possible, but they're not the only means by which we can accomplish things, as is evidenced by this project. We completed a market assessment for the redevelopment area. As council may recall, we looked at options for some of the larger projects and what could actually develop there, from the restaurant status to multifamily to other types of uses. We completed the incentive agreement for Grand Park Center, and prior to the pandemic, they were getting ready to start the redevelopment of that. And we completed an LOI with NewQuest for the development of Fort Bend Town Center 2. That's a Cinemark anchored 272,000 square foot power center at the intersection of Highway 6 and the Fort Bend Toll Road. Lastly, we continue to work with and facilitate the planning and development of over 3 million square feet of commercial space in and around US 90A and the Beltway 8. Our goals for the forthcoming year is to help support our business community and the recovery from the pandemic, to continue the implementation of the economic development plan, to support property owners and developers in their efforts to attract new businesses to the redevelopment area. As council is aware, to that end, we're presently working with a new owner of the Quail Corner where the King Dollar is at. Continue to support the development of industrial business park zone properties, the Beltway, and then also support development along Fort Bend Toll Road. Right now, we're working with a developer that may be a 1 million square foot user near Hurricane Lane off Fort Bend Toll Road. Next slide, please. With the pandemic, we have looked at leaving the budget flat, quite frankly. At this point, we still have a lot that's going on. We still have projects that are in the mix. We're still addressing those needs. And until the things level out, it did not make sense to try to increase the budget. So what you see is a flat budget. When you look at those costs under other expenditures, that represents the program expenses. The major categories of that include county economic development program. As you'll recall, we have a membership in the Greater Fort Bend Economic Development Council, and we also participate in a countywide marketing initiative. Those account for about $37,500. We also have other expenditures in our own where we're helping to promote the city in a number of venues. One of the things that we do or would have done this year would be to attend the International Council of Shopping Centers annual conference. They have quarterly and annual conferences, their annual conference, and we have participated in that to promote the attraction of retail to our community. Unfortunately, that was suspended due to the pandemic. There's a number of aspects of the agreement, but of the budget, but we're not changing those this year. You'll see authorized FTEs. As you'll recall, we had an additional position for redevelopment coordinator. That position has yet to be filled. As we went out to the marketplace, we found that the people that were responding were asking for significantly higher wages than what the position was qualified for, or was rated to. So we weren't able to attract someone to fill the position based on the salary. As the pandemic hit, we put things in suspension with all new positions and haven't looked to fill it. And as we've been able to address a lot of the projects that have, all the projects that have come to us, what we're looking to do is to retask that position within the budget. Look how we can support not only economic development, but finance and other departments throughout the city with information. One of the things that we commonly get tasked with or asked is to track the job market, to track the growth in employment, the changes in demographics, other things to support the city that we get from the business community, also from development services. And so if we can take that position and focus on administrative support, then it's the bang for the buck, if you'll forgive me, goes up, because we can make sure that the benefit not only provides usefulness to those people who are looking to locate here for their business that we're attracting and need information, but also the other departments that depend on that information. In about as fast as I can talk, those are my 3 slides. I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have regarding the Economic Development Program.
Any questions? All right, well, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next we'll have Alina Portis, and she'll give an overview of financial services.
Good evening. The mission of the Financial Services Department is to be recognized as a department that excels in forward thinking while maximizing efficiency and maintaining the highest level of integrity. We serve as a financial resource to the citizens, employees, and other stakeholders by implementing sound and innovative practices in accordance with federal, state, and local guidelines. Vision is for the Financial Services Department to be a highly trained, collaborative, proactive team of professionals that is results-oriented, ensuing the highest ratings as reflected in bond ratings, awards received, and responses from our customers. Next slide, please. Some of our accomplishments for the current fiscal year. I know you have seen a lot of these items because they have come before you. We enhanced our financial reporting to City Council and departments. We also post these financial reports to the city's website. This includes the sales tax report and the monthly financial report. We also had the mid-year budget report that was also posted online and provided to council. We also now provide the departments with a monthly budget report. The department heads receive that directly to their email, so they do not have to go into the system to see some of the information. Although they're able to, they have the ability to quickly scan through and see their information on a monthly basis also. We have also created and are updated various policies, processes, and procedures. This includes the impact fee policy, of course, our annual investment policy. We also included user fee guidelines. We have updated our P-card policy and we're finalizing a contract administrative manual, and that's just a few of them. We also will be updating some of our financial policies that come before council, included with the budget document. We are looking at the one-time use of revenue. We have also done a thorough review of our internal controls, including mapping all of our processes and making any changes that we felt necessary to ensure that we have the appropriate segregation of duties and internal controls in place. We have updated the PID, Public Improvement District number 2's assessment role, and we have updated the service and assessment plan for PID number 2 and number 4, and that also included community meetings at council. Completed the user fee study and implemented new schedules in coordination with various city departments. We also refunded our Series 2010 bonds, which resulted in a present value savings of almost $550,000. Next year, we have many goals, which includes implementation of phase 2 of our contract management module. We talked about this at a prior council meeting. We currently use it as a depository, but we're going to use the technology that we have within Tyler Munis to begin to encumber and track, and we are using purchase orders, but we want to use the contract management module to be able to do that so that we can track the contract spend. We also want to publish all of our procedural manuals in one cohesive, comprehensive document. We do have policies and procedures. They're in different locations, and we want to have them all in one place. We also want to continue developing the city's long-range financial forecasting model. We do have a model that was prepared by PFM. We would like to take this information and create a report for council that is the long-range financial forecast. That will include narrative information. We'd also would like to streamline the solid waste billing, including implementation of online payments and a new workflow for setting up new customer accounts. Since we have many MUDs, we don't always have notification of new homes or new homes that require solid waste billing, so it takes some time to catch up. So we're looking at our process to see if there's a way to ensure that the city is included so that we can timely bill for solid waste. We also like to enhance our small business policy and reporting to council. That would include acknowledging or accepting certain certifications when it comes to what is considered to be a small business. Next slide, please. Within financial services, we have 4 divisions. We have administration, which just includes myself, the assistant director, and there was another position that I reclassified to treasury manager. They were in administration, but now they're in accounting treasury. We have purchasing and risk management, budgeting and financial reporting, and then again accounting treasury, which is our largest division, for a total of 17 FTE, and it's been consistent since 2018. Our base budget is $2,252,461, majority of that being personnel costs. We also have professional contract services that are over $600,000, and that includes our annual audit, the contract with the appraisal districts, which is over $300,000, that amount, our contract with the county for tax collector assessor services. We also have our investment advisor and Brinks, just to note a few of them. Next slide. We do have one supplemental request, and that is to increase our credit card processing fees. And this is to cover the cost associated with an increase in the volume of credit card transactions being processed. As you know, our planning department now has online payment capabilities, and of course that will come with more credit card receipts, which then of course we pay fees on. So we are requesting to increase our budget to be able to cover that amount. We are seeing that we are over the budget now. The local government code actually provides for the collection of credit card processing fees. And as our costs rise, we may need to look into passing this convenience fee over. That currently is not in our fee schedule, and it has not been approved by council. That ends my presentation. Are there any questions?
Okay, well, hearing none, thank you, Alina, appreciate it. And next is, not least, is Innovation and Technology, and Director Cedric Cole.
Good evening, Council. Our mission is the Innovation and Technology IT Department delivers the best proven technology and services available for computer, data, telecommunications, mapping, and critical business systems of the city to employees and to the public through excellent customer service, continual improvement, innovative problem solving, adherence to standardizing in technology through best practices and collaborative solutions. The vision for the Information Technology Department is to become the best integral partner with our customers and to communicate, to be able to the city and recognize as leader in technology, pride itself in innovation, transparency, and accountability. Next slide, please. We have a few accomplishments this year. We'll talk about them in a high level. We upgraded and implemented our citywide backup solution. With this solution, we're able to back up speedy and recovery in a timely manner. The next one is update and maintain access controls. This is our security access into our buildings. The next one is purchase and develop, upgrade public safety toughbook solutions. These are computers for public safety. Implemented and deployed citizen self-serve portal for InterGov to assist citizens with online access to permits and planning processes to enable them future and collect online payment for these services. And the next one is upgraded and maintain a citywide storage solution as that's growing. Our goals for 2021 is to align technology with the city priorities and business goals of the organization, develop a strong partnership with key decision makers, deliver quality service, customer service at all times, assist in converting business requirements to technical needs, maximizing the city investment in technology. Next. For 2020, we have 11 FTEs, and we try to keep our budget as flat as possible due to the pandemic that we're going through right now. Our budget is $5,689,752. Most of that is our maintenance and services. Next. For supplemental, we are requesting $127,778. This is for just FOIA, where it's going to help the city secretary become more digital, move away from paper, and additional funding for security services and repair agreement. Maintenance is going up for a lot of our vendors, so we have to accommodate that. Next. Replacement for innovation technology. We're requesting $1,026,339, so we'll be able to replace upcoming equipment as needed. And that'll be it. Any questions?
Hearing none, thank you, Cedric. Council, again, we wanted to go through general government tonight, give you an overview of some of the projects, enhancements that the different teams have been looking at, and the numbers that Alina had at the very beginning with revenue and expenditures, particularly when we look at the property taxes. Those are preliminary, and so we'll continue to monitor those as well as our sales tax collections. And we, again, at this point in time at least, we not only with tonight's request for enhancements, but we're in a position that we could afford those that were all that were asked for. And one thing we will do in at the end of this process on Wednesday is review with you all those requests as far as how they look from the standpoint of being repetitive cost versus one-time cost, or reoccurring versus one-time cost, and what would look our base budget would look like going forward, and be able to see what enhancements we would like to make. Obviously, these are the things that came from staff. I know from time to time there are things that council sees from their purview, and so again, we would like to give you an opportunity to think about that now that we've given you this, and we can schedule a meeting. As part of that meeting, provide an opportunity to see if there are some enhancements that the council has from their perspective, and we can begin reviewing those through the month of July in order to see about being able to incorporate into the proposed budget. So at this time, I would say that we are finished with our section, or this part of it. Tomorrow night will be public safety, which will be starting with fire, then municipal court, and police. In addition to the budget information, the chief is also going to provide us an overview as an item on the agenda regarding their police procedures. Anyway, wanted to close with that. And also, do you have any questions? And is there anything additionally that we could do to assist you?
Bill, this is Anthony. Thank you to the staff for presenting this evening. I know we always do a really good job tightening our belts and making sure that the numbers that you guys present before council are the most conservative and the best that we can come up with. In the past, we've had some presentations, or at least some bullets around what we've done to cut, what we've done to take cost out, and I didn't see that this time. So can you kind of walk me through, how you prepped for this and what cuts we may have? You don't have to go through every cut, but something similar like what we had last year, where we knew we had a number that everyone went back and just, took cost out.
To answer your question, we've asked everybody to start with their base budget and review it to make sure that we're covering the cost today. We told them, and I think you can see that with that, they were very respectful of it. Given what John Hawkins and others have provided, and seeing what we may potentially run into next year with regard to property taxes, although this year's it's gone up quickly at 15%, that we could see something very different next year, as well as our sales tax, and also services. When we touched on services to people in parks, for instance, use of our community center, the LGC, and how it'll be impacted until people get past the COVID event and we start to see the activities pick up there. And so we have gone into it conservatively. I would say that we've given you a conservative budget, and also the revenue numbers have been higher than what we thought, and this is only at 3.5%. Looking at it at a 3.5% increase with the cap, taking into account a cap, even though because of the disaster declaration, the cap does not exist. We're presenting this as though there were 3.5% cap in place.
Okay.
Also, and so that we are being conservative in this review, and hopefully, like I said, it's going to be potentially unique. And then we have to watch these. As protests continue, we have to watch to make sure that we are on target with regard to our projections for the property taxes. That could change.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Bill, this is Councilwoman Sterling. I have a question, and maybe Elena can answer the question, and this is just for clarity as well. Have the city always used incremental budgeting?
Since I have been with the city, which is less than 2 years, this will be my second round, and that is the manner in which we have budgeted. I don't know if Bill can speak a little more to that, since he's been here longer than me.
Anyone? Yeah, it's varied from year to year. In philosophy to philosophy, council to council, city manager to city manager. We've taken on all different types. We generally have worked from a base budget standpoint, and then move from there, and always evaluating the base budget to make sure that it's not too high. So I embrace the incrementalism myself, and so I hope that answers your question, but it has varied throughout the years.
Okay, because I just noticed, in incremental budgeting, and I know with governmental entities, it's a little bit difficult. But anyway, I just noticed that there was no data, and I was just wondering how much is, your budget should be really data driven. So I was just wondering because I didn't hear anything about, and when you're looking at supplemental requests, so is there any data that you use to drive your budget?
Well, a lot of the programming that come from our proposals and the department heads do come from data gained. One thing, and again, this is some of this is not necessarily hard data, but I would give you the example that Stacy Walker used with respect to the citizen survey and the feedback we got there, and putting together some of the programming that she has. We do have systems in place for like our fleet replacement, and so we utilize science and data with that. Again, with IT and what capacities we have, continually monitoring to make sure that we don't have systems that are end of life, and we're left with hardware and software that we cannot have maintained. So we use policies, we use data, and we use the science we have with crime fighting, with firefighting. They are data driven with the requests that they make, and so you will see it throughout. And we can definitely come back and reference those types of studies and information that we use in the background to develop these proposals, certainly.
Okay, and final question. This probably is an Elena question. Elena, in the general fund, when you run into negatives, are you able to move funds up or down, or do you move them from budget to departments, or how do you move your funds if you move funds and do amendments?
Okay. Within the charter actually outlines how we are able to move funds. Any movement between departments requires council approval. Within a division and within a department, you're able to move between lines, but not personnel. You're not supposed to use personnel money to fund anything that's below what we call below the line. So you're able to do budget transfers during
below the line. Okay, up and down. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bill, this is Councilman Emery. After we able to digest this, if we have any questions, in particular to any of these items, what should be the process? To you first with our
yes,
questions,
sir.
And then you.
Yes, sir. If you
go ahead.
Yes, sir. That would be best, and that way we can then get with Alina and the department, the respective department that the question deals with, to be able to put some information together. And again, like I said, over the next month, we would welcome that kind of information so that we can build presentations and come back with information that would help you with regard to the budget development, the budget ultimate budget adoption.
Okay.
So please do.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Bill. This is Mayor. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mayor Ford.
Hi, Bill. This is Mayor Ford. I just want to just kind of make a comment and say thank you to all the staff for moving forward, understanding kind of the crisis that we are in. And as we do, as you said, over the next month, let's be very conscious of the fact that we are in a pandemic, and a lot of people have been furloughed, and we need to do our part to make sure if there are things that we can cut, that we do look at those items to make sure we've reduced our budget as much as we possibly can.
Understood.
Hi, Bill. This is Councilmember Boney. Kind of in line to what Mayor Ford and Councilmember Maroulis stated earlier. As a follow-up, I guess my question is relative to analyzing the budget from the previous year to the current year's budget. I know that you just spoke to Councilmember Maroulis' question by talking about the base budget. but I'm trying to see if there's anything that you all do that speaks to analyzing every department to see if the number of FTE, the baseline budget that's been presented in the supplemental requests are in line with what is needed, or if there's a true analysis of every department where you kick the tires, squeeze the fruit to see if something from a cost-cutting perspective needs to happen. I heard your response to Councilmember Maroulis, but I guess I wasn't overly. I didn't feel confident in hearing from you that it was something that you all do a deep dive analysis on.
Yes, we will. I mean, we will be reviewing all these proposals. This was, and it's been my experience over the years that oftentimes you'll get a full request of enhancements from departments, and typically you'll take it to council. A lot of times you'd see there have been times I've seen that we take it to council and say, here's what we recommend. And then the next question typically is, well, that's what you're recommending, but what was asked for to begin with? So we wanted to begin with, here's what's been asked for. We will be doing, as you call it, deep dive and making sure that what we need or what is being asked for, what's being proposed is what we need to move forward the agendas of and the needs of the city in a cost-effective manner. If there's opportunity where we can, and we'll discuss these things, if there's opportunity to be able to do it more economically, maybe not have those programs and wait for a future year or in a different way, then we'll certainly take a look at those.
I guess a better question as a follow-up is, do you have a system that is used, either technology-based or something that you all have used in the past that you can speak to as to how you actually are able to analyze and do a comparison between maybe the past few years and current year base budget projections as to how each department should be analyzed and reviewed as to what would be best for that department or what's needed for that department?
This is Alina. I'll respond to that. We currently use Tyler Munis for our budget preparation, and when the department goes into the system to put in their request, it includes all of the historical information on all of the expenditures. So that is being used as the department is estimating. It's also being used when we're going through our departmental requests. We look at prior year expenditures with the department. We look at, like, let's say the fiscal year 20 budget, we look at the actuals to date, and we attempt to determine why there's any variance if the numbers change or increase or if money is being moved. Also, there are times when the department will request additional items, and during these meetings, we see if there's savings in other areas that they have had in prior years, and if it's best for them to move money from somewhere else to be able to fund that. So we are, during our departmental meetings, we are going through and reviewing history. We do have the systems in place with Tyler Munis to be able to do that review. Also, when it comes to revenue, the departments are responsible when they complete their projections for revenue to complete a revenue worksheet. And with this revenue worksheet, we have prior year information so that they can complete trend analysis when they're looking at their revenue. So we do have systems in place for reviewing the figures, especially looking at historical information.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Well, again, like I say, this is the first meeting, and tonight we'll be covering public safety and prepared. And if you have any questions at those, please feel free to let us know. So thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Bill. The time is now 7:47. The City Council will now go into executive session pursuant Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. And if you give Doug 1 minute, he will get us into a private meeting room. Doug, just let me know when everybody's back.
Mayor Ford.
Yes, I'm here.
I have a couple questions about the presentation once everyone gets back. Is that okay?
Yeah, you're referring to the staff's presentations?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Mayor.
Okay, the time is now 8:11 and the council is back in open session. I believe there's a question for staff from Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. This question is kind of directed to Bill or either Stacy, whichever one of you guys can answer. But my question is, do you guys have an approximate reach for the Citizens newsletter as it pertains to the publications of the Communications Department? I know basically I'm asking this question because I know you stated that there's an increase of households in Missouri City. So I was wondering, do you guys have an approximate number of newsletters publications?
This is Bill. Are you asking the approximate number of households we have in the community? Is that what's? I'm sorry.
Yes, basically I know that the Communications Department is responsible for the newsletters and the publications and anything else that they manage in their department. So I was asking, do you have an approximate number that you're trying to reach, or considering our city is growing? So are you guys aware of that?
Oh, yes. And we see that with solid waste service and other services that are provided on a house-by-house basis. And so we can utilize data from there as well as development services on the number of permits that we issue and that growth, if that answers your question.
If I may add as well, Bill and Councilmember Edwards, the city's printing company that we work with pulls a mail list from the U.S. Postal Service that includes all city households as well as commercial establishments. So the newsletter is mailed to all city households and all commercial establishments as well. It's the one method that we can say as a guarantee we can use to reach every homeowner and every business owner regarding city news, programs, and services. And that mail list is updated prior to the publishing and mailing of each newsletter. And the count increases with the rooftop growth and development citywide.
This is Councilman. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just thanking Stacy for the clarity because I had some concerns regarding that. But I do have another question once you're finished, Councilmember Emery.
No, go ahead. You had the floor.
No, that's fine. I got time. We all got time, huh?
Well, my question to Stacy was, when we talk about the being able to touch all of the residents, does that include all of the people that are in rental homes within Missouri City? Or is it just homeowners?
Yes, sir. It includes the rental homes as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Council Lady.
No problem. Stacy, I have another question, a couple more questions. I was wondering, is the district meetings included in the budget as well, in the business plan? I know a lot of our meetings are kind of held up due to COVID-19, so I was wondering, was that still included in the budget? And also you mentioned a web social media manager and an MCTV producer position. Can you go into detail more about that and just provide clarity for council? And also you stated a premium pay and structure pay. Can you please elaborate on that?
Councilmember Edwards, regarding the council district meetings, we have requested funding for 2 meetings per council member per the last discussion we had. So there is budgeted and noted in our business plan and our budget 14 council district meetings. Now, We know that that doesn't always occur on an annual basis, but we want to be respectful to council in including that as a part of the dialogue, especially given the COVID-19 pandemic, and then also the HB2 legislative issue that has come about. So we just want to make sure that there is a fair amount of leeway for council to have that dialogue with constituencies. In regard to the staffing, we highlighted specifically the web social media manager position and the MCTV producers position. Former city manager Anthony Snipes said they would be included in a premium pay structure because Tech Xavier Henry brings an extensive amount of experience to the table. He's not just a web manager in terms of providing updates, he's also a developer and a designer. He developed and designed the city's first Veterans Memorial website. Also, when Peer went out of business and all cities and counties in the region transferred from the Peer platform to the Jetty platform, Missouri City had no cost as a part of that transition. Because Tech Xavier is a developer, he was able to develop our new website on the Jetty platform and to maintain it in its current format at a significant savings to the city when other cities had to hire a developer to do that. So he did all of the development and design, and then Neithu Kalam Kutil did all of the content updates. So that's what I mean by having, an experienced in-house staff that can save the city a lot of money. Also, for the website redesign that we have in place for the department headers and the graphics, Tech Xavier did all of that development. So having a professional of that stature on the city's staff is very important, but we also need to make sure that he's compensated accordingly. As far as the MCTV producers, they have network experience, and so we don't have to outsource any production. We didn't have to outsource any of our Zoom production that is taking place now. We have one producer that's handling not just the Zoom production, but he's also handling live stream at the same time, and he's also doing special projects. So having professionals of that stature on our staff is really important to the city, but we need to make sure that we can also, again, compensate them accordingly.
And if I could add, when you look at it from the standpoint of pay and compensation, when you look at it from that perspective, you're looking at the fact, not just that, but what Stacy mentioned, but more importantly, is that there are positions within the city that are seen both in the public and the private sector. And, a lot of times they are in the technical areas such as IT, as Stacy has mentioned, some of the positions within MCTV, and then with, for instance, GIS. And so you sometimes have to look at those in comparison to the private sector as well. And that's where and this is something that came about with the new model that we adopted a couple of years ago about premium pay and comparing yourselves to the private sector. And Stacy and I have actually talked about this, and anyway, I'm working with Martin because we've got to go back and make sure that they are going to take a look at those areas, that not only those that she mentioned, but are there any other areas where we might potentially have to look at premium pay to compete with the private sector. So that's that's some of the distinction of what premium pay is.
Mayor, and I'd like to also ask a question, if I could, and it's directed to Bill and or Stacy. Since we're talking about communications, I've received at minimum 12 messages today via email or phone message and text from citizens who were deeply concerned about not being able to view this meeting this evening on MCTV. And I all for ways in which we can increase our reach to the citizens and improving the area, but we need to work on the things that we actually have in-house now. I'm not certain whether it's weather or whatever the case may be as to why citizens who were on were unable to view tonight's meeting. But hopefully tomorrow and any other subsequent meetings, we won't have that challenge and issue, because with the pandemic happening, people are able to come into City Hall. This is a new mechanism whereby they can actually view what's happening with their tax dollars and the decisions that we're seeking to make regarding that. So I'm just hopeful that we can ensure that from tonight moving forward, that each and every one of our citizens has access to all of the technology that we have invested in to ensure that they're able to access this important information.
Yes, sir. And actually, I got when I had asked Stacy, and I think Stacy, if you could, I think you mentioned that it was weather related. Is that correct? Or
no, this is the mayor. I mentioned Doug told me that he was having technical issues. I just mentioned that to be patient with staff because of weather issues, and it's probably hindering our technical stuff. I don't really know what the actual text. So Doug or Stacy, if you guys want to step in at this point, I just know we were having technical issues with the live stream. So I just, said it's probably weather related because the weather's been bad all day.
Mayor Ford, Councilmember Boney, Bill, all council, our sincere apologies to the residents who have been inconvenienced this evening. We also received emails and phone calls and have apologized and posted notification regarding this. We do not know the specific source regarding the live stream tonight. This is the first issue that we've had. We did conduct tests earlier today and the live stream was working. We do have a alternative in place for tomorrow. This meeting will be up tomorrow for everyone to view. We've live streamed every meeting since COVID-19 began, with the exception of this one. So we are extremely sorry. We understand that this is a technology issue and that technology issues come about with new systems. But again, we too don't like to have citizens not able to participate in a public forum. And we are working to assure that this does not happen moving forward. So again,
and the recording will be online, right? Correct, Stacy?
Yes, Mayor Ford, it will be online.
Okay.
And I do appreciate, Stacy, how you guys posted on the Facebook immediately when you guys noticed that there were issues, technical difficulties. You did let the public know. And I too received a text message stating that you guys informed and they were waiting patiently for the video to be up tomorrow. So the citizens are informed, and I do think that they will understand what's going on considering the weather. But you guys have done an immaculate job keeping everyone informed, in my opinion, and I really appreciate all the efforts that the communications department is doing.
And this is Mayor Ford. I just want to point out, because one of the things that I know I haven't been on Facebook while we were on the meeting, or I don't get notifications to my phone. But one of the things, Stacy and Bill, that we need to do a better job of letting citizens know, where to go for official information. I know one of the things I'm getting all the time that people are going other places for official information. They're not going to the city's website. They're not going to the city's Facebook page. They're going to other people and other personal forums and stuff because they have Missouri City in front of their name, but that's not where Missouri City puts their official information. So we need to kind of send out some communication and some PSAs on just really advising people where they need to go for official Missouri City information. That other information is fine, but if you're wanting official weather updates, if you're wanting official, where you get official Missouri City data, they need to go to our websites like Missouri City Ready, Missouri City tx.gov, the actual Missouri City Facebook page. They need to go to our outlets for official information.
Thank you, Mayor Ford. That is part of our business plan and our budget request. The community survey also had misleading outlets where residents can find city information. And so we understand, based on your feedback and the citizen survey, that it's very important to notify residents what the official city outlets are, and to also educate them on the ones that weren't included in the citizen survey so that we can kind of flatten that curve and move forward in terms of that engagement. So that it will be a major priority in fiscal year 2021.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anything else? All righty. If there's no further business, we will now adjourn.